In celebration of 40 episodes, we thought we would give you guys a bonus episode. Surprise! It's Friday! Filled with stories submitted by members of our very own fam. You! Sam and I are each going to be reading a story submitted by one of you listeners over the course of the last 6 months, and then we'll share some spooky history. So, buckle in. Tonight, we're going outside. We're going camping. Welcome to Family Lorror Stories, Volume 2. I'm Wheatsy.
And I'm Sam Ivy.
And it's Friday.
Welcome,
I
fam.
think.
Yeah, when this drops, it will be.
Yeah, it should be. That's the goal, that this will drop at midnight on Friday. So when you guys wake up, you're like, oh shit. If you're driving to work on Friday and you listen to us when you're in the car, here you go.
Here's a little extra. Here's a little zest for the week.
Yeah, I like that. Here's some zest. The
Hey.
Zest. Seems like a lifestyle podcast. The Zest.
The Zest. It sounds like a real life show, like the show The Real Life, like The Zest. Only the cool kids live there.
You mean The Real World?
Yeah, that that show.
The Real Life is like a cheap YouTube knockoff made in some kid's basement in Miami.
Both real.
That's true. Fabricated real. But we digress. So we're reading stories today. We're just gonna jump right into it because this is a smaller, shorter. We think it's gonna be a shorter episode, but who knows? We'll see. But this first story comes to us from Pokey. Literally recording a podcast right now, and I literally said your name as you were calling me. We literally just started recording. I'm not shitting you, Jamie. I said, this is a story that comes to us from, and I said, Pokey. And as I said, Pokey, you started calling me. I read your name as I was saying it out loud. Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Literally, putting thoughts in my head, and then they've been reaching out to me, or I reach out to them, and then they're like, "Oh, I was just thinking about you," shit like that.
Oh my God! Can I call you back after I finish recording this episode? And now you need to listen to this episode. It's gonna air tonight at midnight. But this is fucking crazy. I love you so much.
I called you to tell you something crazy.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it started downpouring on me, and as I answered the phone, it fucking stopped.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That is so funny. I tell the story of our road trip, by the way.
Nice.
So, I will call you back later. I know. That's the one you getting Zelda.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love you too. Bye.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. It I guess when she was calling because it was on both of them or something, it cut out the audio for a second. I was like, wait, I can't hear the story because all I heard was for Pokey, and I saw you kept talking. I didn't realize you called.
Wait, that picked that up?
Yeah.
Oh my God! So we just recorded that?
Yeah, I've heard part of the conversation for sure.
Okay, well, I can't wait to listen to that back to see how much that we got. Okay, so I literally just said, I looked at my phone to look at the story. So, and I said, this story comes from us by someone named Pokey. As I said Pokey, Pokey called me. Pokey is my friend, okay? It was supposed to be a surprise. was going to tell you guys at the end. I'm one of the people in this story, but it's not. It's yeah. I wrote this. This is submitted by, not me. It's submitted by Pokey, but she told me to like tell the story for her.
That's funny as fuck.
That is crazy. And so she just called and she said that she started listening to our podcast and she's driving and it's been raining, or it hasn't rained all week, or it's supposed to rain, or it's either been raining or it hasn't been raining. I think it hasn't been raining all week, but it's been supposed to. And as soon as I got on the phone, it stopped raining or something, she said. I don't know. It was hard to hear. Hopefully you guys picked it up. I'm going to call her back. I was trying to rush because I was like, oh, Sam's just waiting for me to.
No, you're good. You're good. I was listening to like part of it.
That's hilarious. But Pokey, my best childhood friend since I was 12 years old, who
you've talked about on previous episodes.
Yeah, the cross-country road trip episode, which is I think what she's listening to right now. And part of that story is it started downpouring and the windshield wipers broke. So I think what she was saying is as soon as I answered, it started downpouring. And she's listening to that episode. So it's like all these thoughts have waves. And she said that her friend has been helping her like narrow in her thoughts so she can pinpoint when people are thinking about her. And then that just happened.
That's wild.
She called at the very second I said her name. This is the same friend who there's so much I could talk to you guys about JAIME. Her real name's JAIME, but we go by Pokey and Gumby because Pokey and Gumby's a fucking classic.
Yeah.
There's no necessary explanation
at all.
It's just Pokey and Gumby. And I'm Gumby because I'm taller than her. I'm much taller than her, and I'm 5'2". And I'm a lot taller than her. I'll just say that. So that is crazy. But anyways, this story is submitted by Pokey, and it's a wild one. It's one of the craziest. I can't even just tell you. Okay, so have you ever heard of Ausable Chasms?
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that.
So Ausable Chasms is in Vermont. And it's like this giant chasm with a river running through it. It's like this beautiful rocky gorge that honestly looks kind of like the Grand Canyon of the East. Though they say that Letchworth State Park is the Grand Canyon of the East. I've now been to both. They're equally awesome in different ways.
Fair.
Yeah. So they're both kind of Grand Canyon-y, but one is more of there's a river, like Ausable Chasms is more of, there's a river running through, and it's like a narrower gorge kind of thing that's high up. There's like this elephant head rock that literally looks like an elephant's head jutting out over the river.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's gorgeous. There's waterfalls, but there's a lot of trees. And with Letchworth State Park, it's a lot bigger, a lot wider. So, more grand.
Fair.
If you will. I don't know which one's taller, truly, so I'm not going to say because I'll be wrong. But this is Ausable Chasm. So this takes place there at the campground.
Okay.
So it was the summer of 2006, and we were off camping together. JAIME had never been to any other state. She'd never been out of state. Her upbringing didn't really involve a lot of like far distance vacations. Like they didn't really do big family vacations out of state, and that was something that my parents would save up all year for one big vacation, and we did it together. It was a lot easier because there were two parents working together with two kids as opposed to JAIME's single mom with 5 kids. So a little bit of a different dynamic there.
Holy crap, I didn't know she had so many brothers and sisters.
Oh yeah, she has a lot. Oh, well, 5, 4.
I mean, that's a decent amount.
Yeah.
And on a single mom budget, that's a crazy.
Yeah.
Commendable.
So I was like, hey, do you want to go to Ausable Chasms with us? I was just going to read you what I wrote, but since the cat is out of the bag, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to tell you. So I just typed it up earlier with JAIME's permission. And So my mom and dad said we could each bring one person to Oswald Chasms, and we are going to go stay for a few days. And so I was like, I'm going to bring Jamie. Duh. Because she was my best friend at that point. It was like a sibling to me. We lived close to each other. We kind of caused mischief in the neighborhood together. Yeah, we were kind of like the terrible two, but in a good way, in an innocent.
Yeah, you guys were thick as thieves.
Whoops. Yes, thick as thieves. And so I was like, I want you to go with me. So we go to Oswald Chasms, and we're in a campground. We have a camper, and what was really cool about this campground is there were a bunch of hiking trails that would like loop, and there was like 8 miles of hiking trails all around this campground. So Jamie was in cross country and track at the time. 1 second. My ear itches. I'm sorry. Itch it. So one day, Jamie and I are like, hey, let's go for a hike. Let's take one of these trails. And they hadn't really explained to us where these trails would come out. They just said, there's 8 miles of trails. And one of the trail beginnings was right behind our campsite. Like literally you could go behind our camper. There's the entrance to the trail and you're gone. You can just go. So a little bit like we're 17 at this point. I mean, we should be able to handle going on a hike. You'd think. So we start hiking. We bring nothing. We don't bring water. It's 2006. I didn't get my first cell phone until 2007. It was a Nokia, so I didn't have my phone. So we're just hiking. I'm pretty sure I'm in sandals because I remember like my feet getting prickled by like these very sharp, dry looking grass blade things that had spikes on them. They sucked. And we're walking and it's hot and we start to like wonder where we're going, because essentially it's just a field, some trees, and what looks like a tractor path. So it looks like a tractor rolled through there to like make this path. And we're walking and it's starting to get dark, and we're like, how far have we gone? Because this was probably 45 minutes into this walk. And we had found some like berries. We'd eaten some berries. We were just hanging out, which don't do that. Don't eat berries. If you don't know what they're, nothing happened. We didn't get poisoned. That's not what the story's about. But don't do that, because they looked like raspberries, but I don't know if they were. We just got lucky. But still. So we're walking, and all of a sudden, like in the distance, we see something hanging from the tree. Just over the trail, hanging from the tree. And I'm like, Jamie, what the fuck is that? And at first it looks like a giant wasp's nest. But as we cautiously get closer, it starts to take the shape of a dismembered head. Like a decapitated head. And it looked like gray. Yep. It looked gray and soggy. And like you could see like dark holes where the eyes should be. And it looks like this ratty white beard that's like hanging down, and it's like tied to the tree with what looks like a rope.
Jesus Christ, dude.
We're just like, what the fuck? And we're probably, I don't even know. I don't know feet. Fucking 300 of these, 300 of my feet. So I'm like terrified. I'm like, oh my God, we've been walking for 45 minutes. We don't know. We don't have anything with us. We can't continue on. We have to go back, because what the fuck is that? We have to go back and tell somebody, because if that's somebody's head in a tree, that's a murder victim. We need to get them help. Like and there's a fucking murderer. So the whole time we are fucking running. We are running back. I am shaking. I want to throw up. I think I've just seen a dismembered head. Jamie is crying. We are running. We get back, and it's less than 45 minutes, but it was still a good minute. The entire time I'm thinking, oh my God, like there's a murderer, and they might have just seen us find this head, and maybe they're chasing us. Maybe they're following us back to camp. Maybe they're going to kill us all tonight. Oh my God, what if they get us before we even get back? So I'm like, Jamie, we got to go. And Jamie's shorter than me, but my God, she was in track and cross country. I said it once and she took off. I'm like, oh my God, please don't fucking leave me. I'm going to die now. I'm behind you. I'm going to die first. I'm like, fuck, this is how I go. I'm just just like, well, we weren't even 17. We were 15 or 16. It was 2006. So not long enough lived. So we get back to camp. We are fucking hysterical. My dad's like, what is wrong? Like, calm down, chill out. We're like, we think we saw a dismembered head in the tree that tied up with rope on the trail about 45 minutes in. Can you guys fucking come with us? And they're like, there's not a dismembered head on the trail. That's not what that is. And we're like, okay.
Okay. Come check with us.
Yeah, if that's not what that is, let's go. So my mom's like, well, Jim, you're not going by yourself. He's like, yeah, I know. We're all going. He's like, no shit, I'm not going by myself. He grabs a beer. He's like, let's go. I'm like, you're fucking, this is 45 minutes away. And he's like, yeah, 45 minutes for you guys. We'll go. Let's just go. So it's me, my parents, my brother, his friend Joe, Jamie. Gaggle of us. It's dark now. So I can dark. We have flashlights. We're walking. Finally, we get there. And the whole time, my dad and my brother and Joe are making fun of Jamie and I about how it's not going to be a dismembered head and how we're ridiculous. And we're just like, no, you don't understand. It's so scary. And then when we get there and it's dark, it's even more terrifying because we're like, there it is. We're screaming. We're like, there it is. There's the dismembered head. Look at the fucking beard. Look at the eyes. Look at the nose. You can see the face. And my dad, for a second, he's like, holy shit. He stops, like, that's not a dismembered head. But you could hear it in his voice, like, that could be a dismembered head. And Joe and my brother are like, let's throw something at it. Let's stand back here and let's throw something at it. Because then if it's a wasp nest, then we'll know. I'm like, that's a bad idea. But before I could vocalize that, Joe picks up something and he chucks it. And he hits this thing. And we're closer than we had gotten, but we're still pretty far away. So this was an impressive hit because he hit it. And it makes this sound. It goes, are you ready for this? It goes, ba-la-la-la-ling. The sound of a toy. It was a child's toy.
What the fuck?
That was like a stuffed bear, like a white stuffed bear attached to a rope. That you're meant to bounce up and down for it to go bling, bling, bling. And it was so dirty and tattered that it was like starting to sog and stretch. And so it was a face. It was just a fluffy white bear hanging from his own ripcord. That was massive. It was big.
That's fucking crazy.
We were so terrified. And then we're like, oh my God, they made fun of us so bad. They took that thing out of the tree. They chased us with it. We screamed. Then we're like, oh my God, we still have 45 minutes to go to get back now. Yeah. And we're exhausted and we're humiliated. And this almost ruined hiking for me forever. I was almost done. And then my dad's like, why did you guys go back that way to get us? And we're like, what do you mean? Because we didn't want to one, we're not passing that thing. But now that we were up by it, you see that the trail kind of curved. And as it curved, guess where it led? 3 campers down. This thing went way out and looped out and came right back in. So all we had to do was go around that thing and out, and it would have been literally 200 feet away.
Wow, instead of hiking backwards.
45 minutes
giant
back.
Circle.
Yep. So that's the story of the Bangalang. Yeah. And hopefully Jamie listens to this. And if I mess anything up, Jamie, voice memo, record it, send it to me, and I'll play it for the listeners. All right? Because she's too shy to come on. She's trying to convince her. So listeners, convince Pokey Pokwa to come on the show. Because that's what she is on my phone. Pokey Pokwa.
Aww.
Pokey Pokwa. So, that is the story of Oswald Chasms. What our experience there? What do you think?
I think that's funny. It definitely was bringing back flashbacks in my head of a camping trip that I totally forgot I went on. Wasn't as adventurous as that. It just made me think back to being that teenager at the campground, the type of vacation that it kind of was. Because it was one of the weird things that Tracy actually did and included me in when it came to him and his family. Is him and Michelle and the kids all wanted to go to, my grandmother had timeshares at certain locations. So she had one for Busch Gardens, she had one for certain campgrounds, they could get in any state as long as it was that company and like things like that. So he used one of the timeshares and he was like, oh, I booked it for this weekend. So like I could bring a friend with me. So I brought my friend, my best friend at the time in middle school, which was Amber, like middle school into high school range. Cause I think this was like high school range. Yeah, it had to be. It had to be like freshman year of high school because I had a phone. But we were there and I just remember like first time kind of going to like a campground where like, you got your little cabin and stuff. Like you could walk around everywhere. They had like the bonfire set up for everybody to gather. They had the playground.
Oh,
Like
God, I want to
right
go
on the
camping
lake.
again.
Um,
on a lake.
yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
it was really cool. And like I had Amber with me, so that was kind of cool. Like we're just there, like we had service. I'm texting the guy like at the time, fucking was the most emo looking boy in high school at the time. Fucking Jarrett Loeffler. Gotta love that kid. But at the time, it was like, oh my God, I have a
Shout out, Jerry!
yeah, I think he's like in New York now. He's actually a photographer, believe it or not. Like shoots photos of like certain like artists that perform and things like that. Like him and his like girlfriend of 8+ years now. I think she also does some photography too.
Hell
But
yeah.
like, yeah, they're adorable. But yeah, he was like that emo boy I had a crush on then that I was talking to. And I remember being like, oh my God, Amber, give me a Snapchat. Got a Snapchat. We're being girls, giggling the whole time, messaging me like, oh my God, what should I say? No, say this, say that. Like, it was just adorable fucking high school juvenile banter. And like, I remember specifically at this campsite too, like they had like a mess hall area with like a general store. So you got to drive, you could go to the general store. Then they had like a public pool where it was just a giant pool for everybody to go to. And then like it was just like certain areas like it was just really interesting. We were there for a weekend. It was fun. It ended like shitty. I don't remember how it ended shitty, but I remember going home pissed off.
Oof.
But your story
Yeah.
just somehow like talking about the camp and the camp experience like brought me back to like being that like teenager again and like walking around the campgrounds and like
Yeah.
seeing the sunsets and being on the water.
God, it's such a I don't know, camping. For me, I grew up campgrounds. Like that's what we did. We started with tents. We built our way up to a pop-up, then to an actual camper, then to a permanent site. We had a camp. Like before we started camping in a tent, we had a camp, but we would even simultaneously like we'd go to the cabin.
Well, if you remember,
and then
you
we'd go
took
the
me
next
camping
weekend
for
with
the
the
first
tent.
time.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
I'm sorry.
You're good.
It
There's a
lagged on
little
me.
bit of a delay, so sometimes it sounds like we're interrupting each other, but we're not. We're a little bit behind. So
All I was saying is, if you remember, you took me camping for the first time when we met in Colorado because you realized I'd never been camping. So you and your partner at the time went ahead and like packed up everything you guys had, and it was like you're not glamping, you're camping. So like we slept on the like in the tent. We didn't have any padding. We had like our sleeping bags and stuff. And I remember you guys had like the ready to eat like meals and stuff that like we ate. I remember we sat there like watched the stars and set our cameras up on tripods and shit. They had like a little fire. I think it was right when you got Reptar too, because he was with us.
Yes.
But yeah, that was my first camping experience, and I've loved it ever since. And I've evolved into festival camping. But
yeah, oh my God, that's so cool. I love that. That is awesome. Camping is such a huge part of both of who we are, which is why I thought it was a cool topic for this bonus episode. And I really wanted to highlight JAIME Pokey as well and that story because I love being outside and love the outdoors, but anytime I see something hanging or something that looks off, I'm just always like, is it just brings me back to that like
that feeling,
experience.
that eeriness, that like that stomach dropping to like, feeling where it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say really quickly about Ossable Chasms, on their website it tells a few of the stories and legends about Ossable Chasms. And I remember when we were there hearing about these stories, which is what contributed to me thinking this was a dismembered head a little bit, because there's a lot of ghosts and stuff around there. And so if you picture Ossable Chasms, imagine it's like this river, and on each side are these giant rock walls with like different ledges, different rock formations. And so back in like, was it the 1700s or the 1800s? Nope, late 1700s. So 1793, it was pretty common for people to use the chasm for tricks and stunts and to gain popularity or to gain notoriety. And so there's this area called High Bridge, and that is a bridge that connects the two sides of a really, I don't know if it's the highest point of the canyon, but a very gorge chasm. Holy cow, so many words that mean things. The chasm, it was a high point. And I don't know if High Bridge was the highest point in the chasm, but I do know that it was high. Much like myself. What? High in life.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah,
holy
indubitably.
People listening right now are like, what about High Chasm? The fuck you just said. It is. Okay, well, during its construction, basically, they had set a line from one side to the next to map out the point where they were going to build the bridge. And people were like, oh my God, I think I could probably tightrope that. I could probably tightrope walk that. He literally, his name was Samuel Jackson. Is that a beer or am I crazy?
It is. It's also an actor. Like, you got Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my God. How did I go to the... I don't even drink beer.
I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Yeah, right. His most famous quote. I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
At least I think that's Samuel L. Jackson. I could be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure.
Let us know. Because we're not going to look it up. We'd rather you tell us. So, anyway, so he ended up being successful with that, which maybe is why the beer maybe is named after him. I don't know if it actually is. But I mean, if you were a dude in 1793 who saw a bridge being constructed over a chasm and you're like, I'm going to tightrope walk that, I would make my beer after you.
Yeah, I would want what he's having, you know,
right.
if that's the thing.
Yeah, I'll have what he's having. So, by 1820, the high bridge was no longer being used. And so Stephen Stern sailed across the last remaining part of the bridge. So now it's in disarray. So he's just walking across it barefoot, holding a boot in each hand for balance. And in the 1890s, more than one person, multiple boys, kids on a dare, rode their bicycles across this thing. So this is like, daredevils are attracted to this, just going back and forth across the ruins of bridges, the railroad tracks that go through there. So one tragic story that happened is when some boys were attempting to weigh over the overhang, like kind of lean over, they were carrying stones out to the edge, and Jim Hall brought his rocks out to the ledge, causing it to collapse, carrying Jim along with it 110 feet down to the waters below. But he literally survived with only bruises. But it was like, fell 100 feet with rocks and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But the tragedy, this is the sad story that made me think, and they tell this a lot when you're on tours there. So it was around 1870 when a giant mammoth log served as the bridge to Table Rock from the opposite bank. So imagine like this giant tree just laid across the chasm for you to walk across. The upper hand had been sawed flat, so like the top side, so you could like easily walk across it. And something they didn't account for though was the slipperiness of wood when it gets wet. And so it was early in the morning, so it was really dewy out. And this man named John Dyer, which Dyer isn't, oh, Dyer, that sounds...
Mulder, when I talked about Mulder's rock.
All right. I knew it. When I read it, I'm like, that sounds familiar. Why? So this is John Dyer. A young Episcopalian minister was out in the morning with his sweetheart, Jenny Smith. It sounds like they weren't married. As John stepped out on the log bridge and reached back to take Jenny's hand, like pull her to come with him, he slipped and lost his balance. He was plunged into the waters, which were rapid below him. His horrified sweetheart watched him disappear beneath the water, and he never resurfaced. Local legend offers the classic storybook ending that she never left the chasm, like she stayed there hoping he'd return, but there's no proof that she actually did. A lot of people at Ospel Chasm, like when you're there, report seeing like figures, like Some people hear cries of like Jenny like calling out, like crying, like the moment that he fell, like her screams and cries.
Oh, wow.
And what's weird is I remember, because we took like a little raft through the chasm, and I remember like the water, the way that like the water swishing through the chasm when it bent and turned, it echoed off the walls, amplified whatever sound you made. And sometimes the water itself sounded like very feminine, distant yelling, like almost like a whistle. Like it was very eerie. So,
well, if you think about it, water holds a lot of energy, and water is a main
yeah,
energy like powerhouse. Like me being a water sign, like I am very much influenced by like bodies of water and things of that nature. So if a tragic event did occur there, that energy is stored. I'm not saying it's trapped, but part of that energy is stored there and amplified.
yeah,
And who knows what minerals and things are also there, which also increase
granite.
Yeah, see? So
Yeah. Stone tape theory, So the replaying of moments that previously happened because the energy is stored and it has to release, I forget what they're called now, but the bursts of energy release, which is amplified by water. So there's a lot of reasons why it could be paranormal, why it could hold energy. But hearing that story and then seeing that head hanging from the tree, I just was like, oh my God. I didn't remember the guy's name, but I was like, is that a ghost?
Well,
Or
you're
is there a
also like
murderer?
super sensitive, and before like at that time, like you didn't realize like how in tune to things you were and how to like tap into that. So you gotta think like when you saw that, like you might have had a vision or saw something that could have happened past in that same area, very similar. It could have evoked that emotion that was like, oh shit, like, cause like I said, like you pick up on energy, and back then you didn't even know it really to that extent, like you do now.
Yeah. And I definitely thought, oh, that's a decapitated head. Like there's a murderer here. But I was already on edge spiritually because the energy there was charged, which made me more prone to feeling scared about that. So I don't necessarily think I thought, oh my God, that's John Dyer's fucking ghost head right there. But I
No,
definitely was like, oh, this place is fucking creepy and that looks like a murdered victim. So,
fair.
but that's story number 1. And that's Ausable Chasms. And just a quick little note about that. If you guys hear the gremlin in the background, fear not. He just needs to be fed before midnight. That's all.
It sounds like he's a little chihuahua, honestly. Like it sounds like you have a second dog in there, and I'm just like, who's yelling at Reptar?
He's having a blast, so he's having a good time. But that's, if we hear him in the background a little bit, that's okay. But you have our next story, and this one really was submitted. Okay, everybody. There was only one camping story that was submitted, and we wanted to do a camping theme. So if you have camping stories, please submit them, because this one is very cool when we get submissions that are like,
I mean,
like she took the time to type it out, and I was just like, oh,
and even if like
cool.
it's not camping, like just tell us some weird stuff about yourself. Tell us some cool lore, like let us put it in a time capsule for you, let us speak it out loud, mark it, timestamp it, and you can come back and replay it whenever you want and share it wherever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, let me get to the story. All right, so it says here, hey, Sam and Wheatsy. Hello from Raymond, Washington. I came across your show through YouTube, and I really love the Oneida Community series. I have a story from camping that I think fits the vibe of your podcast fairly well. My name's Marla, and this happened when I was camping by myself during my Pacific Crest Trail camping experience back in the 90s. When I turned 18, I decided to spend all the money I saved up working in high school to buy an old VW Westfalia? Probably Westfalia. It was a 1975 bright orange, and the inside was in decent shape. The year is
1990.
Westfalia, okay. It was a 1975 bright orange, and the inside was in decent shape. The year is 1997, and at this time, so it felt like it was meant to be, she was exactly 20 years old. I named her Ginger and decked her out with Polaroid pictures of my friends and my trusty Geopet Roy, whom I still have to this day. I had a plan to drive from Washington down to Los Angeles, first before making my way across the country. Before leaving, I thought it would be fun to take a hike to take hike. I thought it would be fun to I thought it would be fun to hike a stretch of the Pacific Coast Trail, as that was something I'd always wanted to do. My parents agreed they could send me packages along the way, depending on how long I wanted to stay on the trail. I decided a total of 10 days heading south on the trail would suffice, and I wanted to end as far south as possible. My best friend Jody said she would drive my van down to San Diego for me and stay with her brother. He was planning on heading to Washington a few weeks later, so she decided an extended vacation would be nice. Plan set in motion, my bestie and I took off in my faithful van towards the PCT. I planned to hike for 10 days, and since I'm fairly good at hiking and had spent my entire childhood growing up raised by hiking campers, survival in the woods was nothing new. However, I wanted to take it easy and relax, so I guessed I could probably get 10 miles on a good day, so I planned for 8 miles a day, making my time on the trail estimated to be about 80 miles. I knew that I wanted to see the Granite Wonderland near Mammoth, California, which would mean I needed to enter the trail around Mammoth and depart before Lone Pine. However, it was important to me that I get off as close to Los Angeles as possible without missing Mammoth, so I made it my goal to walk 10 miles a day to reach Lone Pine in 10 days. My bestie dropped me off. I had the map of drops along the way. My parents would be sending me a care package at the 5-day mark, so I need to make it to the outpost in time to retrieve it. My friend dropped me off near Mammoth, and just like that, my 10-day hike began. It was peaceful at first, the weather sunny and crisp, and without a care in the world. The first night I made it 12 miles, which put me deep in the John Muir Wilderness. I was surrounded by huge alpine trees, and People Lake wasn't too far away from where I decided to set up camp.
I think it was pronounced John Muir Wilderness. Okay. Yeah, sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. So put me deep in the John Muir Wilderness. I was surrounded by huge alpine trees, and People Lake wasn't too far away from where I decided to set up camp. Since it was getting late, I figured I should get settled in for the night as soon as I could. I pitched my tent in less than 10 minutes, set up my chair and table, gathered my pots and pans, and to begin making dinner. I had brought some homemade dehydrated meats, potatoes, and veggies. This allowed me to put everything in a lot of water over an open fire to have a variety of easy soups that take up hardly any space. So before I could cook my dinner, I had to make a fire. It was nearly dark.
That's so smart. Sorry. That's so smart.
No, that is really smart. Sorry, by the way, if I keep stuttering on certain lines. I haven't had to read long stuff in a while.
You're good.
Okay, so before I could make my dinner, I had to make a fire. It was nearly dark now, and the forest was alive with sounds both familiar and strange. I had my flashlight with me as I wandered through the woods, keeping camp in my sight as I gathered kindling for the fire. As I was about to head back, I heard what sounded like someone clearing their throat. Now, this is the PCT, in one of the most scenic spots by a gorgeous lake, so I was expecting others. I paused to look around and waited, but no sound persisted. I noticed the crickets and the other night creatures had silenced, and suddenly the hair stood up on the back of my neck.
Oh!
I slowly backed up towards my tent, keeping my back to the sound until I was back to my tent. By now it was dark enough that the trees created shadows that could hide whatever was within. I turned on my flashlight and shined it into the trees, scanning for any signs of anyone. "Hello?" I called cautiously into the darkness. When nobody replied, my nerves went up. I swear I heard what sounded like a man clearing his throat less than 15 feet away from me. I tried to shake it off as first night nerves and continued prepping for dinner. Nothing else unusual happened for the remainder of the evening, and my stew of beef, peas, and potatoes was delicious. I wiped everything down and packed up all my trash into my smell-proof bag and tucked it deep into my book bag. I then took my paracord and strung everything up high in a tree about 100 feet from my tent. As I was walking back, I heard what sounded like footsteps behind me. I paused, listened, and held my breath. The silence made me nauseous, and now I was certain I had heard something. I continued walking, trying to pay attention to the sounds I was hearing, but it seemed like there was another set of footsteps mimicking mine exactly. I picked up my pace and ran back to my tent like my life depended on it. I'm sure this was a dumb decision, but my flight kicked in and I was out of there. I got back to my tent, zipped it up so fast behind me, and crawled into my sleeping bag. I brought a fillet knife with me, and I always kept this switchblade with me at all times that could do some damage if needed. I laid in my tent listening for any signs of life outside as the woods remained eerily quiet. At some point, I must have drifted off to sleep because suddenly I was woken by a sharp, high-pitched sound. I opened my eyes and covered my ears as I was blinded by a bright light outside my tent. For a minute, I thought someone was shining their high beams into my tent, but it seemed to be higher up, more like a helicopter searchlight that wasn't moving at all. It was making no sound of the blades. Terrified, I picked up my knife and tried not to scream
Fucking
out of
aliens
fear.
right now.
Dude, that's all I keep thinking.
Like, what the fuck?
Terrified, I picked up my knife and tried not to scream out of fear. The noise was so loud that I just had to cover my ears and stay huddled in the fetal position. I'm 18 years old and alone on the PCT. I'm absolutely terrified. I cannot explain the fear as I laid there listening to that sound. Either I was about to be abducted by aliens or murdered by humans, and all I could think about was how messy I had left my room at home and that my parents would probably find and read my diary. I hadn't broken up with Matt. Yeah.
Like, that is the thought that an 18-year-old girl just thinks she's about to die, and her thought is, oh my god, my room's a mess.
And my parents are going to read my diary, which is like a legitimate fear for, I feel like, an 18-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And then she says, I hadn't broken up with Matt, my ex, in a kind way, and I was regretting that in the moment where I literally thought I was going to die. Then...
Ooh. A rut-row.
Then, just as quickly as it woke me, everything stopped. The lights almost turned off, and the sound just, boom, was gone. My ears continued to hurt for the rest of the night. When I woke up the next day, my bag hanging from the tree was sliced open by something that appeared to be very hot. All the plastic and the outside melted, and it was such a clean, smooth slice that was still smoking when I woke up. I decided I was done with the trail regardless of what anyone thought. I had my other book bag with me in the tent. Food bag was separated for animal safety. So I packed up everything and hiked to the nearest outpost. I had to camp another night before I made it out, and then I had to wait at a motel while my parents drove to get me. They were notified when I finally called them from an outpost. Anyways, thanks for reading this on your show if you did. And to this day, I am certainly a believer that there are absolutely wild things in this universe that we don't understand. I still love camping and hiking, just never go alone anymore. Marla.
That's an alien, like aliens.
Yeah, that's 100% aliens. 100% aliens. Like, at first, it was, like, definitely screaming, like, possible, like, killer on the loose and, like, maybe helicopters searching. But, like, you didn't hear any sound of the blades, honey, and you just had a light, and they were still smoking, burning plastic. Like, what? Who has a lightsaber up and this bitch is just cutting shit? Aliens.
You know, we should look up if there are any, like, serial killers, which I didn't think about this, because I was just like, that's aliens, you know?
Yeah.
But if there was a serial killer apprehended, this is in 1990 what?
7, the year I was born.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And they had a Tamagotchi with them, right?
Yeah.
Or something.
Roy. Tamagotchi named Roy.
That's like...
They still have to this day.
That is so cool. Hi, Roy. That's fucking awesome, because I had a Tamagotchi as well.
Pretty sure I did too.
I don't remember its name.
I had the little pet shop version too.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, because it seems like, it feels like she was being stalked by somebody, because like you said, the breath in the woods.
Yeah.
And then the footsteps.
Yeah. The fact that all the animals went silent and stuff too, like, but that could also be aliens too. You know, as we're seeing in movies and stuff, like, when they sense the presence of something, you know, aggressive, like, they respond.
Yeah. Because hypothetically, if you are in shock, maybe her ears were ringing out of fear.
Yeah.
Because she was having an anxiety attack, so she couldn't hear the blades of the helicopter.
Possibly.
And maybe there was a killer outside of her camp that
And
fucked
who
with her
knows,
bag.
maybe the altitude too, like you're hiking, so if you're going up in altitude, your ears might not have popped, like, so you're getting the rain from that too. Because
Yeah,
like,
or just
I remember altitude poisoning in Colorado, like, it fucking was,
yeah,
like, no joke.
yeah. But that is wild either way
And I appreciate
because
her for sharing.
yeah, that's so cool. And she's from Washington?
Yeah,
Oh my god. And she found us how? She
through
said,
YouTube.
right? See, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So she loves the Oneida community, like, series.
Somebody from Washington knows about the crazy Oneida community. We did a video for that one. Yeah, we did. It was fun, but it was a lot of work, and I don't want my face on any more videos. So,
Yeah, so
we're gonna figure out another way to entertain you guys with video content sometime soon-ish. So, but back to Marla's story. Um, I'm still kind of I would never camp by myself. She said she doesn't camp by herself anymore.
no,
So
and,
that's
like, to
good.
be 18 and have, like, the balls to be like, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna walk this amount, like, 10 miles a day to reach these destinations by myself," like
Yeah. That's fucking ballsy. And I
yeah,
feel like she did 12 miles in her first day. That
yeah.
has to be like I could not do that in a day.
Fuck no.
'Cause like straight walking in familiar places, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
but a trail I've
But
never
that's a
been
whole
on and stuff, and a hike,
yeah,
like
it's a whole different. Um so Marlo was hiking on the Pacific Crest Trail, which runs from the very tip of Washington, basically Canada, all the way down to where California meets Mexico. So it's just this giant trail. And along it are these outposts or these places. There's cabins, there's shared facilities. Um, but the outposts are where family members can send you packages that you can pick up. So you coordinate so that you can stay on the trail the whole time and not need to go anywhere, basically. So she mentioned that she got onto the trail around Mammoth and her goal was to go to like Lone Pine. And so that is called the Granite Wonderland. And maybe that's why she was like, oh, this fits your guys' vibe. Because that sounds weird. Or Granite Wonderland. So that's a common theme too. There's
yeah,
granite at Austal Chasms, and this is a Granite Wonderland. So she's walking through all these highly charged rock
energy.
formations, lakes and water and all of these things. So if you're a foreign entity and you need to take resources from a planet, you're going to go somewhere that's rich in these things. And the Pacific Crest Trail in Granite Valley, it is. So there's no area on the Pacific Crest Trail that's more reported than others. But there's a lot of unsettling experiences that hikers have because all along the trail there are bears, there are mountain lions, and mountain lions are known for sounding like screaming people in distress. They can mimic your calls, they stalk you, they
That's
chase you.
fucking threatening and
Yeah,
fucking oh fuck.
yeah. There have been multiple serial killers on the Pacific Crest Trail. I mean, it's a terrifying place, but it's also a beautiful community of hikers who work together to make sure everybody's safe. But accidents always happen. Um, so a couple notable things about the Pacific Crest Trail that are spooky. And these are just quick little notes, but the Chris Sylvia mystery, which is from Southern California. So this happened, or not in the same area, but Mammoth is in California and it's more southern than it's towards the southern part of the Pacific Crest Trail. And so in 2015, a 28-year-old hiker named Chris Sylvia went missing in the San Jacinto Mountains. Searchers discovered his sleeping bag, backpack, and ID neatly and mysteriously laid out beside the Pacific Crest Trail with no trace of what happened to him. So, the other part of this is there's this landscape area on the Pacific Crest Trail called Burn Scar Landscapes. And there is an area, it's called that because the landscape looks like these twisted, charred crevices in the ground, and there are just remains of like forest burn zone. So it's this really kind of eerie, grotesque looking landscape that you're in for a long time, which creates these unsettling feelings of, sadness, dysphoria. And a lot of these things cause like hallucinations for people to see like spooky faces in the dark or hear, accompanied with like mountain lions and animals and wildlife, like, and other people who could cause you harm. Sounds like a pretty scary place to be alone, and to have an experience like that happen. But anybody who does the PCT is a badass. So
Well, yeah, you also gotta think too, like, in situations like that, you got all those factors, and then you got the human mind on top of it. And, like, your mind can be your own, like, worst enemy. Like, because
yeah.
our imagination can soar. Because, like, that's one of the reasons why, Children of the Corn is, like, one of my favorite horror movies. And, like, it's actually one of my dad's, and, like, this is something that will always stick with me. I remember being a kid and watching that movie specifically, like, the original with him for the first time, Malachi, like, all that shit. But watching that movie with him and him being like, "Man, when I was your age, this used to, scare the shit out of me." And I was like, "Why?" Because like, I was used to Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, where there's, like, so much more blood and gore shown on the screen than what there is in Children of the Corn. And he goes, because look, he goes, "They don't have to show anything." He goes, "They let your imagination scare you." And ever since he said that, I, like,
Well,
took a look.
yeah, that's like why the Blair Witch Project works.
Yes. Because you see just enough and you hear just enough where you can imagine worse than they can ever produce on screen.
Yep.
But yeah, my dad saying that just has forever stuck with me.
Yeah. So, and I think that's what makes that submitted story so terrifying, is that she never really saw anything, but something was there. Like, something was there, and it was either a human she was seeing helicopter lights and they were hunting for a killer who was right by her, and her fear made her not hear it. And now, she remembers it like that, and he slashed her book bag with a machete. Who knows? Like,
Yeah.
a hot machete? I don't know. I didn't see the bag. Maybe it was fucking lasers. And I doubt a serial killer is running around the PCT with a laser gun.
Yeah. I also
Doesn't
thought
mean
maybe
they're not.
somebody, like, put the knife in the coals and got it warm enough but it wouldn't be smoking the next day.
Unless it happened
Like,
really
right
close.
before she, like, woke up.
Yeah, the fact that I forgot it was still smoking the next day.
Yeah.
Like, when she got it. Yeah. And, yeah. Either way, very creepy. So, there you are, everyone. That was a bonus episode that ended up being how many minutes long?
Probably, like, 34, maybe 40 when you cut out some of the little tidbits.
Yep. Little spaces of pause, of breaks and such. But yeah, so enjoy your summer. Get out there when you can. But be mindful of the wildfires raging in Ontario, isn't California, Utah. Like, there's a lot of fires going on right now. Our air quality here is bad, so we have to stay inside because of the fires in Ontario. So hope everybody is staying safe and being mindful of your environment and not lighting fires in dry areas. I'm not saying that's what happened in Ontario. I don't know how those fires started, but I hope everybody stays safe, and things can be recovered. People cannot. That doesn't make it easier, but
Check on your loved ones, man. Just check on your loved ones. Even if you haven't talked to them in a while, if they're in some of the infected areas, just check on them. Make sure everybody's okay.
Yep. And if you would like to share some family lore stories with us, you can email us at wrupodcast@gmail.com or find us on social media. Who Are You Podcast. You'll find us. Who is the word, R is the letter, U is also the letter. Just like what you're seeing right here. Just type the same thing in to anywhere else. You'll find us. So, with that being said, never stop asking yourself,
Who are you?
who are you?
And once again, thanks, fan, for sharing. Thanks.